다른 쇼게 당한저 이시 시대 거를 신 다들이 이시 나봐 저희 시기 아니 거를 갑자나 되는 추지ing 이시세야티 되는 제단케 다단단한저 다진 공원도 시에베게 되는 냠번이지 이시당 소소도베 이시당 되는 다가난 신기 자와주베 이시 등수 탐제 되는 찍도 두바 용다 탐제 가서 오래 용수 조바텔라 되는 추지 인지 이시 스전에 안에 민도 딱 버렸어 뭐
Earlier this morning, we have talked about the four wisdom and the so-called the fifth wisdom, the five wisdom, in the context of five wisdom. The fifth wisdom, which is known as all-encompassing wisdom, or wisdom of all pervasiveness. And which is also wisdom of Dharmadhatu in that sense too. And what is thus referred to as the fifth wisdom is the totality of, or the fulfillment of, all the four wisdom and the embodiment of the three kayas, all together is referred to as the fifth wisdom, or the wisdom of all pervasiveness.
다른 쇼게 나란츠 시에반난 신기 단다 군신 넘버 시에바 내인주로와 당 되네 뇨무베 이 내인주로와 당 되네 두바 이기 남시 초 주드 내인주로와라 때네 된주 내인주르네 되네 최 탐제지 랑신 되네 순베나 순진 송화단 zemba 되네 쮸베 타 탐제당 용수 차네 되네 긴고르 찍라 예매도 조과텔라 되네 추지 잉스제네 세게요레스 디스도 칸세게요레스나 되네 코로와 되네 송화다 레스제 코로와 레스제네 되네 로수 냥엘렌데발레 로스 큐르바 찍당 됐슈 냥엘렌데바 레스네 코와레 로스 큐바 된데 매바 되네 다가는 신기 되네 가란소 택바 챔비우게 릭당 년투게 릭당 랑젤게 릭라소베게 릭라소바 타데도 매바 되네 다가는 신기 통마다 타마 매바 찍당 타데 매바 너나 되네 가란소 로이게 되네 진당게 쮸베 세메 쮸바 탐제당 용수 차와 간인바텔라 되네 추지 잉스전에 세게요레스 디 추지 잉기시스
What is essentially the wisdom of Dharmadhatu, or all pervasiveness, is, as we have talked about this morning, complete clarification or liberation of the obscuration of alaya meaning the basic notion of reference point, the basic development of reference point, and then the activity of mind or consciousness in terms of the development of conflicting emotions, and then through the participation of the different sense consciousnesses forming conceptual reality, conceptual fixation, dualistic clinging, not just a sense of reference point, but believing in the reference point, creating truth or reality out of the reference point, believing, which essentially comes down to being the same. Alaya, but just because of at what stage what takes place, from that point of view, we talk in different words or different terms. Given what particular stage, what takes place, or procedure-wise, what takes place first and then and develops into what. So, thus clarification of sense of notion of reference point, clarifying or clarification of all conflicting emotional obscurations, all conceptual realities, fixations, all together, the experience of the inseparability of the three kayas in that sense, and the fulfillment of all the inseparability of three kayas, meaning the four wisdoms, and the fulfillment of all, total fulfillment of all, is referred to as the wisdom of all pervasiveness, all-encompassing wisdom. And one other way of saying is everything completely fulfilled, all-encompassing fulfillment, or everything completely fulfilled within one mandala. This is another way of saying within one mandala, which is transcendence, complete transcendence of the notion of samsara and nirvana, the separation, the dualism of, the complete uprooting or clarification of such dualisms, categorizations as belonging to only one family. For instance, we talk about pertaining to only Hinayana family or Mahayana family, and pertaining to this particular family or belonging to that particular family, categorizing, associating with specific family.
대다 되네 다가나 상가 도르지 틱바다이나 되네 베나 도르지 릭다 렌친 릭다 베메 릭다 레지 릭스 전에 대다비게 릭기 강기 콘스 또 마도게 예와 렌데바 this.
And then in the case of Vajrayana, also, then we talk about the different families, or different Buddha families, belonging to the Vajra family, or Padma family, Ratna, Buddha, Karma, or whatever family.
대단하네. 대직 샤시나 야고도 나고데 베나 고이릭 송기릭 투지릭 연댕기릭 천레기릭 스테네릭 나스 디스테네 체리오레스.
And then there is also the classification of, when we talk about the different families, there is a classification of body family, speech family, mind family, knowledge or quality family, and activity family, and transcending all categories, all families, all together. And the transcending the notion of beginning, end, and transcending any thus notion of any dichotomy, any dualism, isness and isn't-ness, and both, and lack of being both, and so just the transcending the four boundaries. So any kind of boundaries, any kind of complexities whatsoever, and that which is totally non-referential in that sense, and impaired by, stained by nothing in that sense, or without the concept, without the conceptual mind cannot what the conceptual mind cannot comprehend or presuppose. And beyond this, that is the wisdom of all pervasiveness.
Tendesre de indu ta pena ta thonda shinda ji cheba yina pena ta kazangaran su nima khashi jingel sheba nan shinki tene nyomung be driba thang sheje driba thang nyomju ge driba st driba sum sha yor ba theta bu ge driba thamje da yonsu thane tene ta ndorna pena ngaran su ge loye ge ndende mare sambe ge semen driba pena 차신 차와 짬이야 매바 탐제 용수 다과 될 다베게 런신 간인 바 될라 근데 추진기 이시스 단도나 될다고 요르스 디타도 다 산지 람들이스 근데 대다 고시게 원도 제바이나 ngo니 고스 전에 따오스.
So then another approach or another way of addressing it is, as we have talked about earlier, the complete clarification of the three delusions, mental delusions, the delusions of the mind, which is the delusion of conflicting emotions, and the delusion of the ignorance or lacking insight into the undistorted nature, and the delusion of the meditative state tainted by still certain subtle habitual traits of mind, still tainted by some sense of that this is such and such, whatever the experience is. Experience is still not completely transcendent of or completely clarified of subtle delusion, subtle conceptual, tainted by conceptual fixation, and no matter how subtle it might be. And so, becoming completely free of all of such, and in essence, such experience of wisdom is beyond the realm of conceptualization. If it can be conceptualized, it is tainted. And even if there is a slight conceptual sense of it is this, to some degree, that is in itself conceptually tainted. As far as present our mind operating only in conceptual level, in that context, beyond conceptualization, unconditioned, and that is what is absolute wisdom, or the wisdom of all pervasiveness, and that is also referred to as the fourth kaya, in terms of the three kayas, fourth kaya, which is the proclamation of the inseparability of the three kayas, which is in Tibetan known as Ngowa Nyijiku, essential kaya or Svabhavika kaya, that which is the embodiment, the experience of the embodiment of the three inseparability of the three kayas.
텐데스 레트니 데 인도 테네 파 베나 코란 셰당 잠지게 토네 테네 단당아란 수 멜론다비 이시 대당 테네 최진인게 이시 대니 베나다 이시 탐제 테네 베나 조반다고 지다 계획이 때 제바 잠지게 토네 직반다부 요르데 이나야 군인이 키에데 가능서나 멜론다비 이시 대 베나 이시 숨보티 단다 소소르도베 이시다 냠니 이시다 자와초베 이시데 데 계획이 시험 땡 제바지레스 하고서 단다 최진인지 이시 세야디 된조 이시 탐제 직도 조네 데네 베나 가서 저바 탐제다 용수 타와틀라 시가 요르티 손도 디니 바로라 베나 라부고 토네 얀디 야와 매바텐데 말레스
And with regard to the mirror-like wisdom and all-encompassing wisdom, they sound similar. And while of course there is similarity, but there is having similarity, while having similarity, being similar, there is also distinctions between the two of them. With regard to the mirror-like wisdom, the mirror-like wisdom activate, in that sense, activate the generating, the development of the three other wisdom. Wisdom of discernment, all-accomplishing wisdom, the wisdom of equanimity. So in this activates the development of such. And so as far as there is the experience, when we talk about mirror-like wisdom, as far as there is experience of nature of mind, to whatever degree, there is experience of nature of mind is concerned similar to the all-pervasive wisdom. But the difference is, all-pervasive wisdom is absolute fruition or complete fulfillment of the experience of the nature of mind. And as opposed to the stages of experience of the nature of mind. And so one having to do with experience of nature of mind as well as activating the development of the three other wisdom, and the fifth wisdom, all-pervasive wisdom, being the fulfillment of complete perfection, fulfillment of all the wisdom, which is there isn't one thing, that there isn't a separate all-pervasive wisdom, but the fulfillment of the four is what is known as all-pervasive wisdom.
What in this? This one's that 이시가 더 구식 더니 디 당하는 선이 대월식 베기 닝보디 다 임베기 좀 센터 다리 지금 노도 시작을 되네 맛이 짜외게 다 다리 알아는 주드 디기 세제기 닝보디 되네 대월식 베기 닝보 템바스드 초진네 되네 대식 닝보 심제 탐제라 요 레스 전에 되네 셰바 점지 손자 베나 같이 오래 막어야 매번 잡으시 레데 초진네 되네 다 산제 그까 탐제겠나는 애들 닝부 그까 되네 당 알아서 저 주야다 되네 다가 나신 그 코와라 출제게 탐제 자와 닝부 잡으되 다다리 디콜랑 알아서 시게요 버려스 대인도 대손자 베나 하장게 다 가서 오래 코라 subject 톤에 시에베나 하장게 사보지다 통부시우지 될 토와 매버지레스 얘나양 된다 같이 가서 오래 레라라지단 같이 되네 더 세세지게 톤에 되네 다리디 땅하나도 시에버레스 뒤탕무지라다
So, in this way, the complete unfolding of Buddha nature, Tathagata Garbha, which is inherent nature of the mind of all beings, or which is inherent in all beings, the complete unfolding of it, the complete fulfillment of it is, in essence, becoming endowed with, or the complete recognition of the five wisdom. And essence of the five wisdom is the four kaya, which is recognizing the four kayas too. There is no need to have further development to recognize. That is absolute development. And in summing up what we have talked about this time during these sessions of teaching is about Buddha nature, or showing the essence. So-called the subject is showing the essence, which is showing the essence, which is Buddha nature. And so, in a way, it is simple, it is uncomplicated, in that just simply saying each and every one of us without exception have Buddha nature, are inherently endowed with the Buddha nature, the potential to experience enlightened mind. So in that way, just to say and to sort of acknowledge that or trust that, in that sense, it is simple. But in a way, the subject that we are talking about this time is extremely advanced and very, very profound. Because the subject we are talking about is, as again had been mentioned before, and this subject is connected with the final turning of the wheel of the Dharma by the Buddha, which is exposing the meaning of certainty, certain meaning, absolute meaning, from the point of view. And as opposed to on the level of conventional level, relative level of interpretation level of meaning, the absolute level. And from that point of view, it's a very, very profound subject. And from the point of view that we are addressing, we are talking about the root of, the very basis of samsara and the nirvana all together. What sort of is the center of, in that sense? What is the very core of samsara and the nirvana? And in that way, it is a very, very profound subject. And the essence of the teachings, and the essence of the teaching, meaning what is most profound about the teaching.
책잠지 하코알 때에다 가세오래 다 최년바 잠지를 때에 되는데 또 토비아지게 된데 말이스. 그 간데스는 또 그거여서나 되네 소소란 릭베게 이시기 되네 곰베 냠뇽라 때에 되네 또 그거지. 대양 되네 다가스 전에 곰베 냠뇽 태야 다가 소소게 간 신신지 곰바때 마인 바체네 되네 오늘의 소소게 소남기 가바빠도 매베가 거로네 소남기 토싹발라 때네 추지 인코란게 런신티 되네 다 넘바 라메게 술도 나네 되네 델라 이세단 대바메고 깨네 되네 소소게 아니 되게 통네 최퇴 받잠제 마체백 디 최퇴바 되게 나시 탐제 되네 추지인 라마티기 라메기 로발라 하코와 체네 아니 냠술레네 또 고야지 레스
So, while we are thus addressing or dealing with a very profound subject, most profound, and His Eminence has attempted to communicate to you in as clear, as simple way as possible what is beyond the realms of our conceptual mind, conceptual thinking. Yet in order for us to realize, must be understood through the vehicle of conceptual thinking or understanding. So through the conceptual terms or words have communicated in the best and the clearest way possible. And so that through the help of the words in which the concept, through concept, what is concept free is explained. And His Eminence that hopes you have some sense of vision through this, some understanding. While of course it is difficult to have complete understanding.
간에 세나 산지가 숭버레 소소 랑리 이시 쥐요바 소소 랑리베 이시 쥐요를 이마도 책당 현다 강게 쥐요 많이 송하를 봤어.
And what is communicated through words, as for the realization, just simply understanding the concept about what is non-conceptual does not affect realization. And so, through practice of working with one's mind, practice that addresses working with the nature of one's mind, alone can bring about realization of the non-conceptual, essential nature of mind. Again, as it is also said oftentimes in the teaching and by the Buddha, what we can experience, what we need to experience, which is experience of self-seeing, or experience of the wisdom of self-awareness, self-existing awareness, however you put it. So this, the experience of self-existing awareness, the wisdom of self-existing awareness is beyond language, beyond words, beyond concept. And it is not dependent on outer cause and conditions. It is not determined by outer cause and condition. And so, in order for one to realize the true nature of one's mind, or have self-existing awareness manifest, is only because of, in former times, having accumulated
레다 몰람기 돕기 이제봐
accumulated inconceivable or immeasurable merit, wholesome actions, and accumulation of wholesome actions. And by the power and the virtue of such accumulation of wholesome action, and by the power and the virtue of visionful aspiration, insightful aspiration, or aspiration that complement the accumulation of merit, in that sense. And by the power and the virtue of such combination, aspiration and merit accumulation, thus the wisdom of all pervasiveness, or all-encompassing wisdom, manifesting in the form of the Guru, one is able to recognize, appreciate that wisdom manifesting in the form of the Guru. And thus, through the instruction of the Guru, through the manifestation of the enlightened qualities of the Guru, in that all appearances are pervaded by the presence of the Guru, or all appearances are no other than the manifestation of the form of the Guru. In that, because of the nature of all-pervasive wisdom. And thus, through the vehicle of the manifestation of all-pervasive wisdom in the form of the Guru, through that vehicle,
아니
developing.
텔라 때네 너시 탐지 라메게 로발라 하코네 디게 똑게 되네 단단가란소 추바 탐제 되네 랑롤라 소네 추바 이시수 추베 코랑경오도 이시수 차르토베 용고요 그래서
So in that sense, the appearance of phenomena, the play of phenomena, no other than the spontaneous activity, the spontaneous play of the essence of the Guru, of the mind of the Guru in that sense. And thus, through that, affecting self-liberation of obscuration. So, in terms of essential path or vehicle, this is how one would approach. So, outside of that, just simply thinking that this is meditation or that is meditation, and thus preoccupied by one's own idea of what is meditation.
예 베나 대단한데 마세뱅에 론 다와 텔레콤 개발이 300이더니 딘데게 가니까 핑마레스.
So preoccupied by just making up one's own idea of meditation, and thus becoming preoccupied by that all the time, and that is not going to affect experience of self-liberation of obscuration, and nor trying to receive approval of some sort on the basis of some record, I have meditated for so many years, using some sort of record as the basis for being approved of, or like as that being using that as some sort of credibility towards why shouldn't I have it? Sort of. That is also not practically the practical means or practically effective.
This is the Hindu, and this one's bena sosuran rigbe yishiki la dene trogoya jires. Yene the trovar chebala tangbo bena kandes troju kain bachida. Then troda kandes in bachida. Tende tone, then tawe tone nyamyo. The meva chigla, then it tagas chene gom jaba is and a pink yo maris. The Hindu. Then 다리 배나 뒤로 좀 제거해 주셔야 된다 찍다 다 장한주 배나 검 예바 되게 then 다도 도자 강이 뭐 찍다 다 된대 하고 하지 하고서 then 하던도 배나 다 나란 속에 밑게 견 체슈지 가요라서나 then 다가 파 빼바 점지게 되네 아니 맨델라 야군도다 독분도다 맨델라 지 셰바이어서래 맨델라 삼노 요사레 마레스 전에 파때바 좀 제게 되는 거란 통중 쉬부지 지네 때 망부지 지게요 알았어. 근데 소소 가초 예초 토네 치 쳔베 마세베게 되네 디게 단용도 lumba 간지 소고요 알았어. 대인도 다리 대월식 베게 닝부 내루 템바티 소소 네저 하코와 예나 근데 지게 남베 토네 미즈부여난다 야구여난다 연대참부여난다 맨한다데 예나야 코라라 ben 탐제는 로스임지 탐제를 대월식 그게 닝부 탑이에바 여드 그래서 통주만요. 지 가세월에 통주만로 된대 그 톤에 근데 하장게 담바자 첨부 용거를 맞세베 도구선지 좀 된대게 근데 된데스 전에 제야디 하장게 다 가세월에 미교벨레이 송요레스.
So, in order for us to experience inherent, in that sense, inherent self-existing awareness, then through working with the resourcefulness of our mind, which is to say, it is with our mind that we know the nature of our mind, must know the nature of mind, the self-existent awareness of our mind. In the
배나 가시게 쓰기 동안 상기는 냠뇨 간대요 그랬으니 증인 동안 간대요 그랬어. 어디 배나 된다고 상기는 간 벤다 디기다에 내로도 양타보자 하고봐 이나 상기는 간대 연구를 삼백이 더고 된 거고요 말했어. 배나 뭐부터봤나 시.
So while the experience can only take place through the mind seeing the nature of mind, and thus through manifesting a self-existing awareness, yet in order for that to happen, first through words, through hearing of the teachings, one must understand the view, at least have some sense of view, some sense of direction.
배나 나한테 사제벤트 딱 송아래. 룸부 착제 철겁나 파지 둔주 주르주르스. 룸보게 착제 첨부 거나. 근데 둔주 주르주르래서 강강 마신 바지게 예 샘게 샘 dur고래서는 곰 잡대나 강강 팽그 말이었어. 배나 공게 송바데 문에 이게 송과에 좀 되게 가야 마신 바지게 착제 첨부 곰바인 승 샘 곰바인 승에 되겠더니 팽그 말을 송으로 왔어.
근데 저기
철겁나 파지 둔주 주르주르. 다가스 때는 공기다 프레스드 마스나 송버와.
So one must have understanding of the proper view as at least some sense of direction in that way. So what is it that experiences enlightenment? How is it that that potential can bring about the experience of enlightenment or complete unfolding? How is it? What are its characteristics? What it is characterized by, because of which that such a thing could be possible? We're talking about experientially, not just the intellectual realities in that sense. And so we must have some understanding of the proper view. Otherwise, yes, often the question arises, many people certainly ask the question, what would be the experience? What would be your experience when you are enlightened? Or how does one know one has experienced enlightenment? Or one has experienced Buddhahood? And that is simply shows one has no understanding of the view of enlightened mind. Or what are the characteristics of enlightened mind that we have talked about during the course of this teaching. So some view, some healthy view, at least that one is, even if one doesn't have complete understanding of the view, just enough so that one is heading, in some sense, towards the right direction, that is extremely important. Otherwise, once entertaining the idea of doing some profound practice could become very misleading, could be very misleading, just because it is based on ignorance, it is based on lack of proper view. And in that connection, the Sakya Pandita, the great scholar Sakya Pandita, had said, foolish ones, or based on ignorance in that sense, and saying that one is doing Mahamudra, that which is saying foolish in terms of the view, that has no idea what view one must have in order to practice Mahamudra, for instance. So that in a stupid state, in that sense, or in lacking the understanding of view state, in that ignorance, and if somebody says one is doing the practice of Mahamudra, that could very well cause as far as a cause, that could be the cause for the effect, the result of experiencing the birth of an animal, which is saying that what is done in stupidity or in ignorance only gives birth to further ignorance. So you could be calling it Mahamudra or anything else, but ignorance of the view, ignorant of the vision that goes with it, and saying that just only entertaining with the notion that you are doing what you should, thinking that you should be doing whatever is the profound thing.
착친당 족친스는 사바데 따와 사발라 땡네 람트 sab게요레스 마도 카나 따와 매버지게 코란 제단 그 곰단데 사발레스게요 말레스.
When we talk about that Mahamudra or Mahati being very deep and very profound, the reference is made, when in profundity, the reference is made to the view. The reference of profundity is made to the view. That the view is profound. The view is deep. The view is then what is completely absolute or undistorted. And it is not talking in terms of the methods. only. No. It is talking more in terms of the view, the profundity of the view.
따와에게 따와 사바면은 람트 sab고 말.
It is. It can very well be said, if the view is not profound, the path can't be profound. The path is not profound. And so, in this way, that through what we have shared together, how some understanding has been brought towards being able to have the proper view. And then one important and basic
균도 메셀라 펜바치.
comment that His Eminence would like to make. As people, and in particular as practitioners of the Dharma, yes, which is applying the essence of what we have talked about during the course of this time is generally when we interact as individuals, or as individual within society, within the world at large, when we interact with others, other beings, human beings or any other beings, we interact based on our own confused, paranoid, biased belief context. This is how we interact with people. And so immediately, so and so is good, and so is bad, and so mind seems to be good, but something else seems to be bad, and so just constantly indulging in this kind of bias or
배나 소소다 소소게다 배나 운에 그 조금마도 현다 상말 교리를 매바지.
prejudice, and so again, in short, is just simply coming from not acknowledging from the point of view of what is presented to you, so to speak, but only acknowledging from the point of view of one's own belief context or one's own preference. Preference in that me and mine, those, to whom you have preference over others, interest, preference over others, then those, the preferred, that you have preference over others, those are good. And who don't fit within that territory, everyone has some kind of problem, some fault, something wrong, something unpleasant as far as you're concerned. And so
어느 가시 소소를 했더니 이제 매부터는 노아서.
And then one gets so hung up, so paranoid by that, and then now one begins to question one's own being, and so one can't appreciate anyone, one can't appreciate oneself, one has no trust even in one's own being, so and can't have any trust, can't have any appreciation in others or unto yourself. And so, whatever appearance differences there might be, someone more educated than others, someone that's more good looking than others, someone more impressive than others, whatever may be the differences, but it comes from ignorance, comes from selfishness, and from the point of view of Buddha Dharma, it is totally harmful to look down upon others. Whatever may be the differences in terms of the differences talked about. Essentially, whatever may be sort of the external makeups, the outward appearances, that all beings without exception equally endowed with Buddha nature. And then, this is what we have talked about all this time. And to say that someone is endowed with Buddha nature is not saying some kind of it's not an exaggerated compliment. It's not flattering. It is acknowledging, and to say that is having all the potentials to become fully enlightened, potentially endowed with all the attributes and all the qualities of enlightened mind.
제가 당나장고바 지레스. 당나장고바 직당 전에 대답이 반에 게임마도 봤을 닝지 계급이 요르지레 마도 메르바고고 요자와니네 말레스. 다틴 너든 테레스 다치.
So in essence mindfulness of healthy outlook, mindfulness of pure outlook, that developing towards everyone, by everyone, towards everyone, and essentially for one's own benefit, and also just to put things into correct and sane perspective. And then whoever do not have that kind of outlook, whoever fails to have that kind of outlook, having compassion towards such, but not to look down upon, not to think of them as inferior, and so that in essence is extremely important. So on the basis of what we have talked about, what we have covered, this time His Eminence would like to again assert that he would like to encourage all of you to practice this, to try to develop and maintain the mindfulness of this.
Yeah, that's why.
Questions, please, if you have some questions.
I understand the importance of the right point of view and of meditation, and yesterday you spoke about how the visualization we can break through to enlightenment. But I was wondering about empowerment. How is empowerment? How do empowerment work?
Gomde 하고 손세르바. 근데 왕 거트.
지가 어렸어.
사회게 왕티 트레스. 다티야 된다 시에마실라라리 그레스. 된다 하코와지나. 된다 상하게 된다 시에마실라라리 그러바. 근데 상하게 된다 하코와지나 왕세야티 되네 단독 시에반난 신기 너시 탐지 라메로발 샤르세야시도와 디 인두 라마 대당 되네 가르기 예담가 사이나양 디 니수메바지 살답네 되네 디게 왕기 답변아 단다 가서고래 다왕 메티세르고
라레름지다 디 다 강치기랬어 봐
왕기 주 멤버치 그래서
혼다 주 멤버치 그러봐 다티 치도 변아 가실랬더니 단다 간고 비 규골바 당다 그 단다 고만 걸 때는 뱀바티 찍어 용 잡아 말씀 봐.
네. 맹고 다자외게 왕 게 단다 세야데 이담다 니스 매바 chen 왕 고려인데 왕게 규디 멤버 세. 다 멤버 세바들이었는데. 대인도
멤버 잡을 수도 간도 좋다.
시드다 단단한 저 규를 예배게 다 누바티 원도 주로 와. 다야 딱가서 오래 니도 무슨 세베 된다고 다 세우러 와.
What the empowerment does, and
제단가 원생의 그 멤버십을 들어가는데스.
it would depend on what it does to you would depend on your understanding and experience of understanding the meaning of Vajrayana teachings. Understanding the meaning of Vajrayana teaching, meaning what kind of background of experience you have. Based on that, you would be able to appreciate the empowerment. So it's like the empowerment is not only limited to affecting this or benefiting this. The depth of what it does or what it could do depends on your development of practice. But in general, the empowerment is, again, no other than the play of the mind or the activity of the Guru. In that, seeing the inseparability of the deity of the empowerment and one's Guru, in that sense. So, as it comes to you, and then this in general bring about ripening of your being, what would be known as the ripening of being. Ripening of being is affecting waking up to your potentials, waking up to your nature, and inspired to your nature, to experience your nature, ripening in that sense. And then, if we go into some detail, then of course it depends on what particular empowerment too. Like within when we say empowerment, we're talking in general terms, and within an empowerment there are specific series of empowerment. So this say one particular empowerment, how many different empowerments does it constitute? And so there, on the basis of that, a meaning too. Ninjing tenda namto ang toba me ol teni shen ya teni ninjit ta
당보
jigi na sa ta tanang ninje somnia
당보 될 때에 군접 찬주 그 샘스 명다고 해야 된다 테레스 군접 찬주 그 샘을 합 그랬어야 돼. 될 때에 되는 림지가 된다 찬주 그 샘도 건도 줄고요. 그래서 되는 교류 연대 되는 거나 정신 되는 조와 먹어 봐.
The question of how do you comes from our mind right now, the way our mind can relate only within conceptual realm. You see? Conceptual realm. So therefore, yes, it is important. First, since that is the level we can sort of communicate with and understand, and first, therefore, generating relative bodhicitta. Relative bodhicitta.
세드 배나 닌진기 랑신라 시샤네르바스.
And relative bodhicitta meaning based on dualistic thinking. You see? Compassion, yet based on dualistic thinking, and through generating the relative bodhicitta and cultivating that, furthering based on the view and the practice, the view that one has and the practice that one does, one begin to see, thus connect with absolute bodhicitta, or lead to absolute bodhicitta, and how in essence the relative bodhicitta is absolute bodhicitta. And then, at the level of the experience of absolute bodhicitta, how it benefit beings out of effortlessness.
대선자인도 되게 당봉하는 수. 군소들 낳고 요랬어.
So, until one has the experience of that absolute bodhicitta, or bodhicitta arising, generating spontaneously, effortlessly from the non-conceptual true nature of mind, then until we have that experience, then the only way we can generate bodhicitta is relative bodhicitta based on dualistic thinking.
Yeah. Yes. 대세인도 다 뭐 가서로 다
네, 다 so 뭐라냐, 되네 셴이야, 너바 칭킨데 통도스라, 다 용마다 통마인데 좀 갑라스라,
이제
대암 되네 땅은 좀다, 저 나니야 송치여라,
오늘
티데 되네 저는 만디메 된데 되네 내가 치면된다 통도 되네 티 뭐시라 배 semne야. sembo도 우스르다 세니야 답 컨셈부스다 단던서 아랍도서다 독잔도서 섬 따라봐 텐덱스트는 섬 sembo도 우스르 텐티 때마도 배 당문에 닝제티 양박반으로 텐데 즉 용금민도 우스르다 텐데 정해야한다 텐데 섬 따라봐 텐데라 다가는 신기 테니야 카시엘의 소소 그때는 다 론로버천이야 섬시라 이 가와 쇼르바 텐데르데 테니
당념 듣고
대당님들다 지가서 그래. 안념생 뭐라마한테 다 지가서 그래야. 낭매나 지천이야. 서로 여도 강매 왔으니 여도 강매 왔으니 되고 말아. 티 연구면 도사 이것도 강양한테 내가 티 직전이야. 정말로 링지다. 지바 용 같은 다 단단한 갑자기다 봐. 티 간대 진다 돼서 봐. 심 쇼마.
다
텐데 지도 강이야. 닝직 잡을 때는 심 때는 단다스 servut mareva khande tas
다티 텐데스레스 다단다 티창게 티 베네투스 요마 토베 줌센데 칸레스나 단다 팅에마 트베네 시티니 닌징기 시샨틀 때는 용토고요 말바스 대 인도 대손자다 군좀 잔주sem나 삽네 되는 게 고고요 레스 대손자 인지 민지 잔주sem게 dom바티 양타베기 신인을 때는 랑고베 줌센티 베나 대더비기 잔주기 sem을 붙이티 되는 베나 질랍을 때네 깨뇌바다 되네 대띵돌라 되는 가란주 노존 든든만아서 베다 되네 가서 오래 다시 제약에 냠내 텐돌라 때네 림지게 잡고요 레스 마도 람산 아
tawa hagawadan
대 하고 남사독수 용토고 말레스 아니 랍고고 요래더니 개발도 되네 되다 남바 건돌라 되네 샘게 양세 전에 전시된 토바이나 되게 싫어 뱅그레스
these things you're talking about comes because of the strong dualistic pattern of mind, and so your interaction with people, reaction, and the kind of belief or thinking that you react with, that you have of others, comes from what is strongest in you as your belief or as your pattern of mind. So, since the strong dualistic patterns, then your reaction also comes in accordance with that. So, from the path point of view, just simply applying the path, the means at the immediate application of the path, one would certainly not become liberated of these patterns or become free of this. And having understanding that, or the knowledge that these patterns lack inherent existence, or that one can be totally, absolutely free of this pattern, the knowledge alone does not obviously bring about the liberation from the experience of the pattern. So, there is need for continuous practice, consistent practice, proper practice, and until one has, when there is experience of these things you're talking about, which shows until all of these sufferings or dualistic patterns or whatever, they are completely liberated of, then the need for the application of the path has not come to end, has not stopped. And among the application of the path, most important is antidote, in terms of antidote for dualistic pattern, is the following the way of the bodhisattvas, the conduct of the bodhisattvas, and so that's why the bodhisattva vow is important, extremely important, because one is taking of the bodhisattva vow is, and having the opportunity to receive the bodhisattva vow is an incredible honor and privilege, in that linking with the unbroken line of the bodhisattva vow, in that way linking with the bodhisattvas who have fulfilled their vows unbroken, and also that which means in the presence of thus the bodhisattvas making the commitment to fully fulfill the path, walking of the path. Just as the bodhisattvas of the past have fulfilled their vows, that your whole point of your taking the bodhisattva vow is to fulfill. Again, in this way, an awakened intelligence or the energy, the blessing, has a tremendous effect too. That in waking up or in ripening, in sort of loosening up the strong fixation of dualistic thing, and inspired to thus follow the ways of the bodhisattvas. If you are inspired to follow the ways of the bodhisattvas, motivated very strongly, that is the blessings in activity. So, having taken that, and so the whole point, of course, of taking the bodhisattva vow is not a one-time participation in sort of formality sense. It is that which one is going to live up to until it is realized. The moment that one has taken it, one is taking all the time, taking it all the time until one has fully realized it. And so then, so in essence, the mindfulness of the mind of awakening, the proper intent or aspiration at all times is the intent of good-heartedness. Mindfulness of that in everyday life is extremely important. That is the most important practice.
Clear from this that the ultimate bodhisattva activity is to purify one's own confusion and to help all sentient beings purify their confusion. But at a relative level is, in the world and in our lives, tremendous political, social injustice, and vast numbers of human beings suffer extreme deprivation. How does a bodhisattva respond to that suffering?
Yes.
tarduguta tene sambegi tene tenda trubji thirba ta ramdön sangje ta shinde tene kan
Pemba trubidres.
shen chuba sewa thires ina ta tardug chan chewe ne nega mum kunzo ka chadi chewe ina tene ta ne ke mesik kan so gore chik sem dan ta ndoyon da kan ine pen pong de khirwa pongwegi 되는 동네를 때는 다른 데서 기타 but 마랑을 괜찮더라. 근데 망고 요르 tellia tene 진짜 뭐지 디 체도를 가는 그래서
다 전주 선버 속에 전주 선버 속에 심진시행의 펜버 줍세야티 배나 내갑다 타르도게 펜버 줍고 요르마도 타르도게 펜버 짬지 말해스 내갑스도 센데다 타르도게 펜버 니가 줍야드레스 대인도 다조 개체슈데 배나 ngösu
데졸이야 펜바
ngösu 되니 가서 그래 줍토바 라렌타 토바 유나 텐조르시 라 되니 ngösu 라렌타 주레스 되니 야 가시에 배나 대답을 ngösu 라렌타 마토베게 다 뒤에 망보용 거요레스 된데 값솔라 되니 샘제상 보체네 되니 된데스 제레스 너나 제네 단 대손자 다 개체슈드 칸에서나 대더뷰게 바로보기 동안 용와 대라 근데 살 투민라 마되바게 근데 사람도 살 사월 제삼백은 되바다 셈제의 하장의 개체물이었어.
The benefit of bodhisattvas, or the benefit that bodhisattvas generate, obviously is not just ultimate benefit. It's both relative and ultimate benefit. And if what a bodhisattva does is going to have benefit in this life for individual or individuals, and doing what is beneficial for this life, what is good, healthy, and what you can do is beneficial for the future, doing what is beneficial for the future. And so, if you can benefit one, benefiting one, all, from relative point of view, then doing that. From ultimate point of view, doing that. It's not just limited only on ultimate level or only in a limited level, relative level. Now, as far as the benefit that you generate through your mind, through your action, and how beneficial it becomes, or how beneficial you are, is dependent on all kinds.
바로보기 레다 가서 지대는 누구래서.
Number of conditions. It depends on one as someone who uphold the bodhisattva principles, who have bodhisattva vows in this way, yet a bodhisattva on the path. One who has realized the bodhisattva principles, a bodhisattva of realization. So based on whether one is a bodhisattva on the path, just cultivating the fulfillment of the vow, or a bodhisattva of realization, and depending on that, you can be of more benefit or less benefit. Even though intention-wise, that is not one has less intention or one has more intention to benefit, but because of what skillful means, what wisdom, what ability you have developed on the basis of that. Then, of course, as we know, there is the karmic conditionings of being. It is, no matter how enlightened one is, that beings are, generally speaking, responsible for individual karmas, their own karma, so that there is no immediate sort of wiping away of karma. Yes. So based on at a time of ripening of karma, or not, and so number of conditions, but the essential point, as someone who upholds the bodhisattva principles, the bodhisattva vow, is never ever to give up the intention to benefit beings, never ever give up the aspiration of benefiting beings, and never to withdraw from that.
대다 되네 삼바상부당 되네 다쯤만 임베 삼바상부디 다티 개점시라래.
So which means even if you can't in action get rid of immediately right away what suffering such and such a being or beings are going through, that should not at all be the reason to give up the motivation to generate, to further reaffirm one's intention. That also not because you feel obligated. You feel obligated, or that you felt impulse, genuine, in that sense, unconditioned, and not because of any expectations, any, thing of that sort. This is the best good, the most important thing that you can ever do, and therefore that you take the privilege of doing it. Point of view.
야, 다 타마디 있고.
Okay, please, the last question.
Yes.
I was going to ask how we make our aspirations more sincere. At first, like we just say, possibly I want to paint a good picture that involves something being sometimes that comes out unsincere. How we make that aspiration more sincere? Or just practice it.
가사.
디 수수 그다 디 지금 소 심게 들어봐. 테니 바 숙체도 그러나 닝탁번에 다 숙체도 간련도 없잖아 땅고요 나스스 더 직 나 다스 좀 탐시다 선지 고반은 거 더 쇼삼바 디 장가 양네 양드나 직 달리 알로 창나 다디 다 숙체번도 시나 맨으로
대 다초 디삼바 단당에 라브나 신기 테니 가서 그래 운에게 다 소수 쌈땡네 삼바상부터 다딕 가정의 개념으로스
디 오늘 간대진이 지고
네 다디 반나 넘바잠지 마이바
나서나서
딕게야 개념으로스 테니 대땡도라 테니 소수게 초사 저바장 텐데스 제바 이나얀 텔 때네 오늘 다 양타베기 찬주 셈로 붙이데 줄 때와라야 팽그레 대땡도 다 동nen다고 건 찬주 셈게 다 제바 삼나 팽그레스 데네 땡 캐버진 그 총텐솔 야네 양도라 소소게 셈견다고 세나 전주게 뺨마서 팽이요
The main thing is whatever you are saying or not, whatever you are repeating or not, is that you have a keen and a genuine interest in the well-being of others, and a good-heartedness in that sense. That this is the view or thinking, the feeling that you have towards others.
팀매나 그냥 메시지를 전에 가요 말이지.
So, if it is not clear that to one that it is the most important thing for one to have good-heartedness towards others, if that is not clear, then just simply in terms of words, the words that have the meaning of, being kind and good and so forth towards others, but one doesn't connect with the meaning of the words that one is repeating, then no matter how many times one repeat those words, it wouldn't help. So the main thing is that as far as your experience of your mind, that to you it's very clear, you have this genuine interest in the well-being of others, a genuine sense of caring for others. And then to strengthen that, then the different practices with regard to purification practices, or purification of defilement practices, practices that are for accumulation of merit, and the more purification takes place, the more accumulation of merit in the sense that the more wholesome qualities that complement you appreciating, recognizing your own basic resourcefulness or richness, then this inspires, this further strengthens one's genuineness of good-heartedness. And so then training of one's mind practices also in the way of accumulation of merit and purification of defilement, specifically such practices as the Tonglen, or the sending and taking practice.
믹스에게 개발도 바꾸지 가요로서나 소수의 땡 개발도 쟁 총다. 근데 benada gewishenye gchunla yane yando tamza tempo cheyati tik pemes pengres ban ndamba zamje mayin ba tamza yane yando chen.
Then one other very important very beneficial practice or means that one can do is either in the presence of spiritual friends, teachers of the Dharma, spiritual friends, or what represents the presence of awakened ones, what represents such great teachers or spiritual friends. In the presence of that, again and again, renewing one's sense of commitment. Commitment, that you are as committed as you were, in that sense, that your commitment holds good all the time.
샴페인 쌤트.
And,
샴페인 쌤트.
the commitment of that having genuine interest in the well-being of others, or that heartfelt interest in the good-heartedness towards others. Maintaining that commitment.
덴버를 좁진 덴버를 송와 당 좀에 덴버 니제 직된 감들의 유는 바주 모노세가 대신 쳔버 오민내서 군내 마원 담는 대로 주베고 논제 대예 모노 다주 야와 참배 야섭 인제네 도서 손제 주바 논제 버제 주베 준주든 발마 바예 모노 다주 겐드 대제 제도 좀바다 되선 건데 저와든 드바든다 드르네메소 드고도메 공부라 모주데 드바 남데 베전 안데 냐와 보다 신데 제르 세게 드네게 발마 바예 데바이데 조주 신도 드슨 산제 신데 마드 주베 발마 주자 자즈 제저라 저 땡그라 저제 데네 두제라 저 저베 드네 바 발마 바데 데베니 조더라 군저 저제 주메 저 람베 베라 저제 원조 손제 데바 산제 다 전주 선바 단제 진제 라다 손제 용서 소베 나다 젠 주제 인남바라 도제 삼제 메자 바예 도 에데신도 도바라 조제 두소레 갸라 갸베 젠 제메 젠드라 조베 바데 남바라 야군 자다 도니 젠조 조니 곤베 가르마바 인거 조조도 면주른 주메라베베 조제노 바메베 가든제 제제 군자 탑돌게레 레베